Hello, World Wide Web. I'm Dr. Shado, the internet personality with the best hair, and welcome to the grand finale of the Heisei era of Gamera films in Revenge of Gamera-thon! For the last 2 weeks, we've been looking at the Heisei era with Gamera, Guardian of the Universe, and its sequel, Advent of Legion. Despite these movies coming out only 1 year apart, the second was balanced far differently and used a cast of characters nearly completely removed from the first film of the trilogy. However, if these issues were due in part to it being rushed, we may not have to worry so much in this movie, as Revenge of Iris came out 3 years after Advent of Legion. Which is actually very strange, as the first 7 Gamera films, and nearly every Godzilla film ever made, came out consecutively year after year. Still, I haven't even begun to explain what the damn movie is even about in the first place. Revenge of Iris, or going by its Japanese title, Awakening of Iris, or going by its Japanese title thrown into Google Translate, Arousal of Iris, brings back quite a few of the characters from the first entry into the Gamera trilogy, while ignoring the second film almost entirely. The Gyaos return in full force, but as you might have guessed, that's not the biggest problem for Japan, as the new monster, Iris, has become aroused. And on that note, can't believe I'm really about to do this, but
make it good.
creepy! How's it going?
Decker? What are you doing?
Week 3 of Revenge of Gamera-thon.
That's not what I meant, but you do remember our deal, right? You put the lost episode up already, so you don't have to worry about me bothering you. For another month, anyway.
I know that, but listen.
By the way, how did that go?
It was well received.
And who is it that you're supposed to be apologizing to again? Aside from Kevin and Patricia, I mean.
Never mind that. Listen, I was thinking of asking for your help with something.
Say no more. I'll be over in 10 minutes with the lube, condoms, and a DVD box set of Batman Beyond.
What? No, I want you to review Gamera 3 with me.
You want me to review it with you?
Yeah.
Why?
A few reasons, but anyway, what do you say?
Do I have to put pants on?
Preferably.
That wasn't a yes.
Yes, please do so.
Well, I must say I'm a little bit curious at this point. Alright, let's do this.
Okay. Now, let's take a look at Gamera 3, Revenge of Iris, and see just what got this giant monster so aroused.
It's Japan. Does that question really warrant any sort of rational answer?
The film opens up to returning character Mayumi Nagamine, the ornithologist, played by Shinobu Nakayama. Oh, wait!
What are you doing?
Research, my friend.
She looks good.
Yeah, I guess.
She's responding to reports about new Gyaos attacks, and indeed this small village has a Gyaos corpse left over from the encounter.
Is there anyone who knows where it came from?
Well, there's Gamera vs. Gyaos in 1967, Space Gyaos, all the Gyaos from Guardian of the Universe. That last one is probably your best bet.
I don't know. It's a bit small to be from 4 years ago. Remember, Decker, these things grow like those xenomorphs you love so much.
Man, if Gyaos laid their eggs in people's bellies, that would be fucking awesome!
Complex thought really isn't one of his strong suits.
Gamera also makes an appearance within the first 5 minutes of the film. Sort of.
Camera. Oh shit. How come there's so many?
Because if there was only one prototype Gamera corpse, it might get a little confusing when the living Gamera shows up later, completely unexplained.
And if they tried to play it like they thought this movie's Gamera was dead, at the 3-minute mark, it's a pretty shitty way to start a Gamera film. The rest of the opening is a recap of the previous Gamera film, that being the first one in the Heisei series. However, before it finishes, we suddenly start off in the middle of that movie's climax, with a small family in the background we never noticed until now.
Iris. Iris. Hey, come here.
The epic monster to finish off the Heisei Gamera trilogy is a tabby.
No. This is backstory.
At least we already know what aroused it. Catnip and some stray pussy.
That's kinda crude, Chibi Thulu.
Oh, excuse me, Deku, the shining example of etiquette and restraint.
This is the happy family of Ayana Hirasaka, who is being played by Aki Maeda in this scene. While spending way too long trying to get the cat, her mother and father are in a nearby building when Gamera happens to drop in. This allows the girl to get nice and traumatized as she watches the biggest hero in Japan smash her parents and pet cat to death before her eyes. Now she's suddenly being portrayed by a completely different actress, Ai Maeda, who was 15 at the time of this movie's release.
So going by the last movie's track record, she's probably depicting a 12-year-old. Thus, the only survivors were herself and her little brother, as obviously Gamera can't pulverize you until you are at least 4 feet tall. She now lives with her extended family in a much more rural part of Japan. This village is still big enough to have all the usual faces at school, including the obligatory bully Cunts, and the only guy in a 50-mile radius who doesn't think Ayana is weird, and therefore is a love interest.
I heard that her parents died.
It was all just a terrible accident.
Young love. Nothing has lower standards.
I don't know. Have you seen environmental safety regulations recently? We are further introduced to new characters, with Senri Yamazaki as Mito Asakura.
Yamazaki. That's better.
Will you stop that? Or at the very least, wait until we're actually covering a porno. Anyway, she's there with her assistant, Shinya Kurata, played by Toru Tezuka.
Wow.
Decker, is there something you need to tell me?
Apparently someone at IMDb doesn't know how to spell. He's listed as Toru Tezuka.
So much for getting my hopes up.
Just wait for it. He'll track down Toru in a Speedo sooner or later.
The two of them are there to establish that it wasn't Asagi's pendant that shattered in the last film, but all of them, rendering Decker's advice to the girl useless. We also learned something about Mito here.
With heaven and earth opposed, the result is destruction. All appears calm and well, but danger lies ahead. It is a prophecy.
She's insane!
I knew there was something I liked about her.
Those were her boobs, Decker.
Back with Ayana, the 3 schoolyard bitches are daring her to go into the village's obligatory forbidden cave. Seeing as she doesn't like any of them at all, obviously she agrees. Of course, the big stone of magic sealing protection glows, so she carries it out as instructed, right into her incidental boyfriend, Tatsunari Moribe, played by Yu Koyama. I hope the information I got was accurate, and it's just coincidence that he has the same exact name as a very prominent 66-year-old manga artist.
Coincidentally, the Moribe family are the appointed guardians of this place, so he helps her carry the stone back in. While inside, they notice a very large stone formation that is obviously the egg our Kaiju du jour will be hatching from later.
Let's go. And tell no one what we've seen.
Absolutely! You wouldn't want to prevent the unnecessary deaths of thousands of people, like you're a guardian or anything.
Hey, Gamera's the guardian of the universe. He's just the guardian of this cave.
Therefore, it is still within the boy's jurisdiction.
Still not done introducing characters, though, as we suddenly see
Osako, sir?
Inspector Osako, again. And he's selling magazines on the streets in Tokyo because the second movie upset him that much?
While I understand being shaken up by a kaiju attack, if he was trying to get away from it all, why not just move to Wyoming?
He pretends he's not him for this scene, so he does not completely reunite with Mayumi just yet. She doesn't need him anyway. She's got her other old friend from the first movie to keep her company.
So which monster are we going to be talking about?
Does it really matter? Why is Japan constantly being attacked by giant monsters?
Because the genre is still very lucrative in your country.
I think the day that Japan is finally free of the threat of giant monsters destroying it is the same day that all the kaiju fans around the globe will weep bitter tears.
Back with Osako, strangely enough it appears that his job in this movie happens to be spotting the incoming kaiju before anyone else.
Oh, it's the
Ghost. Oh, in God's name, did they come back from the dead?
That's a pretty good question. Gamera killed all the gals before, and the one new nest that was laid was completely destroyed.
It's actually very simple when you think about it, Decker.
Oh?
Most popular villain.
Oh. The Gyaos don't have time to ravage Japan, though, as one of them randomly explodes, raining down onto the streets as we get our big Gamera reveal for this movie. Creepy, don't do that.
Come on, you're the one who asked me to be here. You should expect this.
No, it's not that. It's just that this movie actually depicts giant monsters fighting in a heavily populated area as a very bad thing.
In that case... Better?
Yes, that was equally horrifying. I also must commend the visual effects at work here. Yes, the flying Gyaos are now full CGI instead of the traditional puppet, but it's damn good CGI. And similarly, there are a lot more shots that mix the very large monsters with shots of the little people, and they blend together near flawlessly. However, amidst all this mindless destruction and slaughtering of civilians, a young child is helpless, so Gamera singles him out as the one life he's actually going to spare in this ordeal.
The life he is going to save.
From the destruction he himself is causing? The Gyaos cut one building in half, while he has smashed several buildings, destroyed dozens of structures, and blew a bunch of people the fuck up! Is this like that miracle of being the lone survivor of a plane crash? Never mind the hundreds of other people splattered across the mountainside?
Point taken. Hold on. Wasn't that the same building Gyaos cut in half 1 minute ago?
Sure.
You mean to tell me that they rebuilt it in less than 1 minute?
This is Japan, in a kaiju film. You know they did.
Seeing the destruction of Shibuya on the news, Ayana returns to the Forbidden Zone, where she discovers a Digivice of her own, as well as a very peculiar Digimon.
Don't you know what that thing is?
A monster in Japan, covered in slime, whose extremities consist of a bunch of tentacles. Decker, is this why you wanted me here on this one?
Absolutely.
Now I'm really concerned with just what got Iris aroused in this movie.
Oh, I could look that up for you.
No, don't bother. We get it.
She names the little critter Iris, and details the plot for this movie.
And someday, we'll have our revenge.
Because Gamera killed the monster's family. Maybe. Ayana thinks so that's good enough, right? Never mind this, though. The real details of the plot are given by a Sega Dreamcast.
Mana.
It formats parameters and such. As you can see, the value dipped around Japan in 1995.
And that's when the Gyaos appeared.
Did they just calculate and reliably process a supernatural energy that may or may not exist?
Looks like it.
On a Dreamcast.
Hey, this is 1999. That thing was the future of gaming.
At least until the PS2 came out.
Jeez, how did this not win that generation? It had Sonic Adventure, Crazy Taxi, Power Stone? Could save the planet from kaiju triggered from supernatural forces?
Later, though, Ayana finds the entrance to the cave has been smashed open, and fearing for the safety of Iris, who, going by this, would be twice the size of a grizzly bear by now, runs out alone in the woods looking for her. It doesn't take Ayana long to find it, and witness its transformation into a CGI model.
Iris, I feel hot.
This isn't going where I think it's going, is it? Is there really anything I have to say about that?
What? I bring you back from Revenge of Gamera-thon to watch a movie about a tentacle monster kaiju in Japan, and all you have to say about it is... You have nothing you have to say?
Hey, if that's what you were after, I think I have a much wider selection of titles we could review.
Motherfucker!
I've got that one too.
Never mind. Asagi arrives on set, again played by Miss Fujitani, now 20, but her character's probably supposed to be 17 now. It turns out she was studying abroad, because after all, Japan's schools are only the 4th best ranked in the world. USA is 17th.
By focusing on the natural energy in all living things on Earth, mana is everywhere.
Which is apparently where she went for hers. Mayumi tells Asagi she believes her, so the overtly supernatural plot can continue unabated. Evidently, pollution destroys mana, which attracts kaiju, so the Atlanteans built Gamera to fight them, but he himself is fueled by consuming mana, which attracts even more kaiju at a healthy rate to keep a movie franchise in business. So, Gamera destroys everything in its path, killing thousands in the process, and ends up causing the very problem he was designed to resolve. This was the best resolution the government of Atlantis could come up with.
Some things never change. Back with Ayana's surviving family, strangely, she has not returned from her romp in the woods with the tentacle demon, so after calling her friend who happens to be a boy about it, he does what they should have tried and actually goes out looking for her. Well?
What do you expect? You know how tame this stuff is to me. You have seen my show.
Some people just don't appreciate tentacles.
He cuts her free, and she gets transferred to the hospital. Continuing on, placing all the characters in the right locations, Mayumi tracks Osako down via unknown means, and offers the now drunk and astute man the opportunity to return to the glorious field of kaiju hunting.
I can't help you. I'll just be in everyone's way.
Only because you think you will.
He thinks that for good reason.
He decides he's sick of running, and considering according to this scene he took 2 separate jobs between the first and second movie, I can understand. Thus, he is hired by the employer with terribly low standards. They investigate a new attack, coincidentally enough at Ayana's village, and discover something. A jump scare!
Wait a minute. That's Ayana's family. When did this happen?
Oh, off-screen.
Jeez, parents died 4 years ago, but at least we actually got to see that. These victims evidently had their insides sucked out, which Osako points out is not normal for Gauss, showing just how useful his insight will be. Mayumi then goes to see Ayana in the hospital so she can find out that Ayana has her own digivice, and is therefore important enough that when word comes out later that she was randomly moved from the hospital against the will of her little brother, which is her only surviving family, she must find out what happened to her.
Okay, then where did they take her?
I was told not to tell anyone.
The police call that kidnapping!
Gotta love how medical professions will comply with obviously shady requests from people with questionable motivations, just as long as it progresses the plot.
I'm sure they received some kind of kickback for their assistance.
And what, pray tell, is worth the safety of a young woman's life?
A Sega Dreamcast.
Someone get this man a girlfriend. Stat!
She finds out that she was taken to Kyoto, and the audience learns it was Captain Crazy Cunt herself, Mito, who abducted her. Never mind this revelation, though. Let's go watch some teens go camping, complete with a young couple who run off into the woods for a sexy time, which is like ringing a dinner bell in any monster movie. And Iris has grown a fucking shitload over the last day and a half.
While it was going around eating people, did it happen to come across a secret stash of rare candies? The girl's innards are vacuumed out, resulting in a less than optimal sexual encounter. Back with Mayumi, she and Asagi head to Kyoto, and luckily run right into Mito's partner Shinya. Despite their collective insanity, or perhaps because of it, Shinya takes the two of them right to where they happen to be holding Ayana, all the while talking like a madman.
Although, I'd say, Gamera is still very well connected to humanity. He did follow someone all the way to Sendai, don't you think?
Plus, with those eyes, even when he says quasi-normal things, it comes off as crazy.
Please, that was still insane. Gamera followed her to Sendai, but not to America. I mean, if he did, we would have gotten some crappy Gamera movie made by a completely different studio in 1998 that depicts him as some short CGI armadillo or something. After they interrupt Mito's obsessing over Ayana's super importance to her prophecy, strangely enough, they have no issues with Mayumi taking the girl and leaving with her. Of course, Tatsunari feels shitty after his complete fuck-up of being the guardian of the cave got his entire village horribly killed. Don't worry though, Osako's there to make him feel better by doing what he does best. Pointing out the obvious.
To save a lovely girl, you must follow the lovely girl. And Kyoto is where she's gone.
And to get to Kyoto, you must travel to Kyoto. Get in the car. However, Iris is also headed for Kyoto, and in its newly evolved form can fly very gracefully considering its bulk. The self-defense force is there to fire a warning shot. It's just as well, since it's not like they'll do any damage if they actually try to hit it anyway. Fortunately, Gamera shows up in time to save the jets from certain destruction. To show their thanks, they decide to change targets and attempt to shoot Gamera out of the sky instead. You would think, after 2 movies of him saving the planet, they would not be so quick to attempt to murder the creature, but at least the graphic destruction we saw earlier makes their position seem more reasonable than it would have otherwise.
Oh, who cares about that? Gamera's doing that goddamn flipper flying again. Shove a missile up his ass! Though, actually, the CGI combat between the two isn't too badly done. Especially since Gamera stops doing the flipper bit and returns to the classic spin to deal extra damage, right before the missiles slam into him. Fortunately though, Gamera is fine. I mean, it's enough to divert him, but unlike the first movie where they shot him out of the sky with the same missile, or the second where everything just tore him the fuck up, Gamera the Invincible is actually unscathed.
Good for him. Now will they bother to do a follow-up attack on Iris? Nope, they just let the thing descend on Kyoto. In another move of remarkable brilliance, Ayana keeps running off towards Iris, ignoring the fact that the creature has grown so large and killed so many, while her group of mixed nuts make for peculiar conversation.
Yet the blood of your house has begun to thin away, so it is a child of the flesh who must join with the demon.
Right.
Chibithulu?
What?
Can you explain that line?
Don't ask me. I just work here.
But who should come in to save the day but Gamera? And end up blowing half the city up just from his arrival. Not gonna make Ayana forget about their revenge plot anytime soon. But her circumstantial boyfriend has arrived to snap her out of it, and actually manages to slip by the police thanks to Osako's help. Damn. Did he actually do something useful?
Seems like it.
What is the world coming to?
Don't get too excited. The kid might still end up being goo stuck between Gamera's toes.
As the battle rages on, Mito gets pancaked, which looks like it was entertaining for Shinya. Then again, his own death also seems like quite a thrill to the guy.
This is so scary!
I imagine if there was a hell, Satan would get pretty fed up with this guy being so damned entertained for all eternity. Anyway, Tatsunari has finally made it, so he uses his ancestor's special magic dagger in the world's greatest time of need.
You got the touch. You got the power.
Well, what the fuck did you expect being level 1 going up against a tier 3 raid boss?
Honestly, I did expect it to do a little more than that.
Well, it does manage to nick Ayana's cheek, snapping her out of her self-imposed iris hypnosis. Despite that, at this point, she's a little too close to be able to resist the monster's suction to engulf her as it attempts a genetic fusion. While on the inside, though, she has access to Iris's memories, and very quickly realizes that the creature has eaten the rest of her family. At this point, she could really use a hand. That works.
You have to admire Gamera's direct approach to problems. With the girl in one hand, Gamera is pinned to the building by his other. Iris then starts sucking mana directly out of Gamera, loading up its own charge attack against him.
Okay, Gamera, you got this. Just kick Iris away, or do a jet-powered turtle shell move, or...
do that nifty thing you learned from the Saw movies. Gamera then catches the projectile in his no hand, converting the mana into a prosthetic fist, which he shoves into Iris's gaping wound, and then everything explodes. Seriously, everything. Don't worry though, the people are fine.
What? How did they?
Mana?
Oh, what the fuck does that even mean? Gamera's not through showing off his new abilities yet, though, as after Mayumi fails miserably at administering CPR to Ayana... Seriously, this is really frustrating to watch. Gamera tries a different strategy.
He screams her back to life.
I like to think of it as Gamera's way of saying, "Bitch, get up!" And so our story comes to a close, with Ayana sorry for the chaos she caused, Gamera pretty damn beaten up, and...
Large numbers of Gauss birds have changed their course and are currently converging on Japan.
Holy shit.
So, the movie ends with Japan doomed to be reduced to a pile of rubble covered in gigantic pieces of bird shit? The Self-Defense Force decides now to attack the creatures that will eat them instead of the one that will defend them, and it ends with Gamera heading off to fight impossible odds, because he is the guardian of the universe. Or at least mainland Japan, anyway. The absolute guardian of the universe.
I'm starting to think that this is why it was only a trilogy. They ran out of adjectives to tack onto the title.
What? There's plenty more to choose from. The serious guardian of the universe.
No.
The total guardian of the universe.
Stop that.
The flatulent guardian of the universe.
Enough! Anyway, that was Gamera 3, Revenge of Iris, and it just might be the best Japanese movie with a tentacle monster that I've ever seen.
Just how many have you seen?
That's not important, but it looks to me like after the flawed but entertaining presentation of the first Guardian of the Universe and the imbalanced film the second was, they spent the time between that and this really nailing the structure and pacing here. Technically speaking, it's still nearly a half hour before Gamera shows up on the scene, but it doesn't feel as bad as, first of all, it's only 22 minutes, not 30, and second, we do get to see both the Gamera graveyard and the Gamera flashback before this, so we never feel too starved for the title character. Also, the balance of power between the military and the monsters was done great here. The army is still mostly ineffective, but they do just enough to be at least a minor annoyance to the creatures. That means their decisions matter, despite the fact that Gamera is clearly needed to deal with any large threat. This also may be the darkest Gamera movie ever, as his actions are shown to have real and terrible consequences for the people in the cities. A lot of Kaiju, and especially Gamera movies, don't touch on this, and it really helps make the situation a lot less cut and dry, and therefore a lot more interesting. Overall, Gamera 3 Revenge of Iris is a brilliantly structured kaiju film that also just so happens to have really awesome action sequences and damn nice visual effects to boot. If I want to be nitpicky, I guess some CGI effects could be better and a few human characters were less useful than others, but these minor issues aren't nearly enough to hurt the movie overall, coming in at 5 cans of tentacle treats out of 5. It does make me wonder why they took Gamera, which was a traditionally pretty kid-friendly series, and rebooted it to be dark and gritty, but I'm glad that it worked out as well as it did.
You don't know? Decker, this series started in 1995. Japan was undergoing a kind of gritty renaissance due to the success of Neon Genesis Evangelion and Revolutionary Girl Utena. Lots of series were being given the dark makeover.
Neon Gemini Evil Joe?
You don't know what Neon Genesis Evangelion is.
Can't say it rings a bell.
Uh-oh.
You spent 2 months reviewing kaiju films and you don't know?
Decker, think long and hard about what you are going to say next.
Well, no I don't.
Some days I wonder why I bother.
spent all that time researching the actresses, but you never even tripped across this information?
Well, I did get a little sidetracked when I put Japan and tentacles into Google.
Oh, for the love of Decker, that's it. I'll be over in 10 minutes with the full series on DVD. And the lube and condoms.
Fuck me.
Oh, I intend to.
Thank you all for watching. I've been Dr. Shado. And remember, be very sure of what you are doing before you even think of calling creepy.
もう一度できるならここに戻ってあの姿を力が尽きても倒れそうでも届かなくてもまた走り出す見ていてねそして教えてほしい限りない勇気を辛く悲しい時苦しく泣きたい
It's good to see you again.
Huh.